October 24th, only 6 days away from the making of this video, will mark the official 1-year anniversary of A Dude and a Dog Hiking, making videos on YouTube. So for that entire year, Sophie and I have made 41 different hiking videos, amongst other videos, some product reviews, a ton of shorts. And amongst those 41 hiking videos, we've traveled to 26 different locations in that 1 year. It's been a great adventure. And with that adventure, these are our top 5 hikes of the year. All right, what would any list be without at least one runner-up? So with that, let's hit the runner-up. Our runner-up for the top 5 would be Mission Tejas State Park in Texas. This state park, it's quiet, it's quaint, there's not a lot of activity there. So, on the one hand, kind of like in one of the other parks I'm going to mention a little bit later, Meridian, I kind of don't want a lot of people knowing about it because it's a beautiful park and it's so quiet. However, with all that being said, this is a park that you just can't miss. The history, the trails. I mean, you're not going to be able to go 15, 20 miles and everything unless you start to do some loops. I think the total amount of trails there is about 8 miles. But within that 8 miles, you get so many gorgeous scenes, so much wildlife out there, deer running rampant, rabbits that you see on the trail here and there. The 2 times that I've been out there, I've seen Luna moths. It's the only place I've actually run into Luna moths in the wild. I think they're gorgeous and they're amazing. And then just the history connecting to it, the Civilian Conservation Corps and the work that they've done out there. In addition to that, you have its connection to the Royal Road, the El Camino Real, that went all the way from Louisiana down to Mexico City. Over 2,000 miles. History right there in the park. And you have to hike to it. You can't just get out to a car and go on it. So, definitely a great runner-up. Okay, with that, let's get into the actual top 5. So the first one of our top 5 would be Meridian State Park. Now, this park is another small park. You're not going to get a ton of mileage on it again. 8, 9, maybe miles or something like that total of all the trails, unless once again, you decide to do some extra loops. But the park is, first of all, so quiet and quaint because, again, not a lot of visitors. So I'm afraid of actually telling you about it. But with that said, beautiful sights of the lake. It's not a huge lake. You can easily see across it. Nice little lake, almost a very, 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 very large pond. Plenty of fishermen out there, though, so they really enjoy it for that. The trails go to several adorable little places where there's springs. They're slightly off the trail sometimes. They're quiet, and they're just a great place to just sit there and hang out. So if you haven't been there, I highly recommend it. You won't regret it. It's definitely worth it. All right, number 4 is actually not a state park like the first 2. And it is truly a unique hike. So that one is the Old Zoo Nature Trails, just outside of Cisco, Texas. So this was an old zoo from back in the 1920s, 1930s. It shut down in the 30s. There was some controversy. One of the main exhibits they had there was a bear that died, and then shortly after that, some deer died that they had on exhibit. And there was a lot of talk that maybe there had been some sort of poisoning going on. And so after their main exhibits kind of were perished, there wasn't as many people going out there. And you got to think about this is 1920s and 30s. So we're not talking about 70-mile-an-hour highways and easy comfort drives. We're talking about maybe 35, 40 miles an hour and much, much more rougher if you have a car to get there. And it's out in the middle of nowhere, even for us right now today, and so much more out in the middle of nowhere back then. So it was kind of a destination area. So first of all, you have the old zoo that you can kind of go in, that you can go in and walk through. Lots of old cages and where the bars are bent. Unfortunately, there's quite a bit of graffiti there. It'd be great if they can get that cleaned up, but I get it. It is what it is. But yeah, it is absolutely cool to be able to go into these little old exhibits and be in where these animals were and everything. Then, if you go farther into the trail, they have some very farther beyond the zoo. You get some very, very lovely trails that actually go to some other, what looks like were exhibits at one time, just not the main area. And in behind there even are some old cabins. So this was probably, it looks like it was a destination because you'd go to, today we would go to Disney World or something like that and stay. In this case, you'd go to this zoo, the Cisco Zoo, and you'd stay the night or 2 nights and everything, visit the zoo, visit Cisco, Texas and everything. And these cabins were an option actually to stay in. So really, really cool trail, really, 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 really unique. A little bit out in the middle of nowhere, but hey, the more out in the middle of nowhere these trails are, the better, right? Check it out. Number 3, we have specifically one trail at Mineral Wells State Park. Mineral Wells State Park is a lovely park. Beautiful town, little town. Highly recommend you visiting it overall. Most of the trails are nice, but I wouldn't say spectacular, except for one. And that trail is if I remember right, it's the Red River Trail. It's the red or the blue. It's the one that's on the east side of Lake Mineral Wells. And that trail leads to Penitentiary Hollow. A lot of rock climbers like to go out there because there's these large rocks out there. And it's rumored that this is where cattle rustlers and other criminals would hide out from the law back in the mid to late 1800s. And you can really see how it would be probably a good place to kind of hide out when you go there. Highly recommend it. It's really, really cool. There's also a cheat. You don't have to really hike too much into Penitentiary Hollow. If you park on the north end, you're going to be at Penitentiary Hollow pretty quick. A little more adventurous, park on the south end, hike up. It's only 0.8 miles, not that bad. It is pretty rough terrain, a lot of rocks, going down towards the lake. It's going to follow the lake, the trail does. Going down towards the lake is a bit of a workout. It is a one-way hike. On the way back, you can hike exactly what you did already, or you can go up on the road and hike back. Either way, it's going to be 0.8 miles. It doesn't matter which one you do. So, it's your choice. For number 2, we actually move out of Texas. So this summer, Sophie and I took a trip where we went to Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, a little bit of Virginia. We were going to go further. Didn't quite happen, but that's okay. That's okay. We really had a good time. We're still planning on hitting up those other places later on in the future. Possibly in Ohio, definitely in Wisconsin, and also definitely in South Dakota. So we're super excited about the idea of doing this. But this one was one we did hit, and that was in Alabama. It was outside. It was within what they call Clear Creek Recreation Area, and we took the Raven Trail out there. Not necessarily the best marked trail. It looks like it was a very well marked trail at one point, but some of those markings have fallen in disrepair. There's a lot of false trails going off in different directions. But you pretty much are going to be able to find your way for the most part. It's not that big of a deal. The cool part of the trail is, first of all, the greenery. I mean, Alabama, just the greenery out there is mind-blowing. It's beautiful. I've seen maybe better greenery when visiting Washington State, but that's about it. It's beautiful out there. Also, the other really cool thing is there's a lot of these rock shelves there's a lot of these rock shelves that are concave in. Sometimes there's water trickling down from groundwater, but they're just gorgeous. And there's so many of them along this trail that you find the first one, you're like, wow, this is so cool. And you want to spend some time there. And then you hike and you encounter another one and another one and another one. And some of them are a little cooler than others, but they're all worth taking a little bit of time to stop at. So Clear Creek Recreation Area in Alabama. They only have the one trail out there, as I remember, just the Raven Trail. Definitely highly recommend it. All right, the number one hike for Sophie and I since we started the channel, October 24th, 2023. To this point, as I said this video, 6 days before October 24th. Still, 1 year anniversary. Our top hike really defied our expectations. Originally, my first hike was at Tyler State Park. And the reason is because my idea of a great hike was big trees and lots of green. That's not necessarily still untrue. However, this hike was totally the opposite. And never had a hike at this point that felt quite as spectacular, connected to nature, and connected to God, just from the feeling of the hike and being out there and seeing it. And that one was Caprock Canyons in the Texas Panhandle. It's a desert hike. I never thought that a desert hike would be that phenomenal. Now, I will say, one of the things we definitely did is we made sure that we hit it up at a time in which we weren't looking at blazing 100, 110 degree weather. It was maybe a high of 76. A little chilly in the evening. We weren't perfectly comfortable. I don't think we slept quite as much as we needed to. But the hike itself made up for it. We had perfectly beautiful blue skies that contrasted with the red of the ground rising up. The caps that are kind of more of a grayish white on top of the different plateaus and such out there. It's just breathtaking. Every single moment out there. Now, a lot of people will point to the buffalo herd out there, which is really cool and phenomenal. As a matter of fact, when we pulled up at the main office there to start with, as we're pulling into Caprock, the buffalo herd, or a lot of it, was right out there. A large percentage of it was also out by the little lake that they have out there. So the buffalo herd is really, really cool. That no, hands down, is definitely cool. But the landscape, even just driving through it, we felt so connected. It was beautiful. I really look forward to going back there at some point. I really, really do. If you haven't yet, take time. Try to plan a trip there that isn't 100, 110 degrees. I really recommend. Alrighty, and with that, that has been our top 5 hikes of the first year of A Dude and a Dog hiking. I hope you're enjoying the content so far. If there are any hikes that you recommend, we'd love to hear about it. We are currently North Texas based. That doesn't mean that we won't be breaking out of the Texas area, just like we did this summer. We definitely intend to at some point doing that. This summer, as a matter of fact, I'm sure that we will at least be hitting northern region, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and such. Maybe even some South Dakota like originally planned. So if there's some areas that you think that we really should hike, especially ones that are not necessarily as well known, we'd love to hear about it. So definitely leave a comment. With that, let's hit the trail. Hi, I'm Jason. And this is my wonderful dog, Sophie. Together, we're a dude and a dog hiking.